This video is entirely fictionalized and is intended to encourage people to respect their personal space. They ignored his warning, so he made sure they'd never try again. Keanu Reeves had worked hard for everything he had. By the age of 60, he was proud of what he had built. A quiet life, a beautiful home in Chandler, Arizona, and most importantly, his prized possession, a fully restored 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. It wasn't just a car, it was history, craftsmanship, a testament to patience and precision. He had spent years tracking down original parts, working with experts to bring it back to life. It roared like a beast and drove like a dream. Keanu didn't flaunt it, but anyone who knew anything about cars understood why it was special. His neighborhood was a mix, some longtime residents, some newcomers. Some were friendly, others kept to themselves. Keanu didn't care. He wasn't looking to be best friends with anyone. He just wanted to live in peace, but that peace didn't last long. The first time he noticed something off, he brushed it aside. One Saturday afternoon, he walked into his garage and saw something small but unsettling. His driver's seat had been adjusted. Not a little, a lot. The radio station had changed, and worst of all, the fuel gauge was lower than he had left it. Maybe he wasn't imagining it. Maybe he just forgot. But then he noticed the small oil stains on the pavement outside, a couple of soda cans tossed near the driveway. His gut told him something wasn't right. When he casually asked around, the responses made his blood boil. "It's probably just some of the local kids," a woman laughed. "You know how they are." Another man, barely looking up from his car, muttered, "Nice ride, Mr. Reeves, people notice." The way he said it irked Keanu, but he didn't push it. Instead, he double-checked the locks on his garage and hoped it wouldn't happen again. But it did. A week later, he was reading in his living room when he heard the unmistakable growl of his Mustang's engine. But it wasn't him behind the wheel. He rushed to his window and saw a teenager behind the wheel, the engine purring as if it belonged to him. A girl, probably his sister, stood nearby, casually taking pictures. Keanu threw the door open. "Hey!" The boy's head snapped up, eyes wide. He fumbled with the gear shift, nearly stalling the engine. I thought," he stammered. "We didn't think you'd care." Keanu's voice was sharp. "You didn't think to ask?" The girl muttered something about living 2 houses down before both of them bolted, disappearing before Keanu could say another word. He stood there in his driveway, his hands clenched into fists. His car, his property. They acted like it was nothing. But what happened next? That's when Keanu realized just how little respect these people had for boundaries. "I hope you don't mind," she said, smiling. "It was just sitting there." Keanu's jaw tightened. Oh, he minded, more than she could imagine. His voice came out cold and sharp. "Each and every one of you, get away from my car, now." Some froze, others exchanged glances as if he was overreacting. Sandra, the woman who lived 3 houses down, the same woman who had never spoken to him before today, scoffed, waving a dismissive hand toward his Mustang. "Oh, don't be like that. It's just a car. You weren't even home." Keanu took a step forward, barely containing the frustration bubbling under the surface. "It's not just a car. It's my car, my garage, my home. You don't live here, you don't pay for it, and you sure as hell don't have the right to touch it. Now get out, all of you." Someone muttered, "Geez, what's your problem?" That did it. Keanu walked over to the garage control panel and disarmed the power to the automatic door, slamming it shut with a loud clank. The music someone had connected to his Bluetooth speakers cut out abruptly, leaving only the stunned silence of people realizing they had pushed too far. "I'm calling the police," he announced, his voice calm but firm. That got them moving. Drinks were abandoned, laughter turned into awkward silence, and within minutes, his driveway and garage were empty. Sandra, however, had the audacity to roll her eyes as she walked past him. "You don't have to be so tense," she muttered. No one was hurting anything. Keanu wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it. Instead, he stood there, stone-faced, watching them leave like it was just another casual inconvenience for them. Once the last person was gone, he locked his garage, double-checked every latch, and stood there with his hands on his hips, his heartbeat slowing, but his frustration lingering. One thing was clear, this wasn't over. These people had no respect for him at all. And if respect wasn't going to stop them, something else would. Time to get creative. Keanu had tried everything: talking, reasoning, security cameras, locks, but none of it worked. Now it was time to play their game. He sat at his kitchen table, watching the security footage from earlier that day, his fingers tapping against the wooden surface. The nerve of these people. The way they acted so entitled, as if his car was just another community toy they could take for a joyride whenever they pleased. He wasn't mad anymore. He was done. And if they wanted to keep treating his car like the neighborhood test drive vehicle, he was about to make sure this next attempt would be their last. Step 1. Locks? No, a trap. Keanu went to an auto supply store and bought a set of reinforced wheel locks, ones that required a specialized key to remove. He also installed a GPS tracker under the dashboard, just in case someone got bold enough to take it for a spin. But that was just basic security. For the real deterrent, he had something better in mind. Step 2. A little messy consequence. He remembered a trick a mechanic had once told him about invisible security ink, a harmless but highly effective deterrent. Keanu mixed a UV reactive dye into a special clear coating and painted it onto the driver's door handle, the gear shift, and the steering wheel. It was invisible to the naked eye, but the moment someone touched it, their hands would be stained bright blue under any UV light. Not dangerous, but highly embarrassing and extremely hard to wash off. Step 3. Psychological warfare. To sell the illusion, Keanu had a custom sign made at a local print shop. The next morning, he bolted it to his garage door where it was impossible to miss. Warning, this vehicle is protected by anti-theft coating. Unauthorized contact may cause skin irritation, chemical stains, and residue violators will be prosecuted. It was half truth, half bluff. Would the chemical stain part cause rashes? No. Would it actually stain their hands blue for days? Absolutely. And just to sell the effect, he left an empty industrial chemical container next to the garage, a prop given to him by a friend in car maintenance. Now he waited, and it didn't take long. The next hot afternoon, Keanu sat in his living room drinking iced tea, eyes on the security monitor. At first, the day was quiet, then movement. A couple of teenagers walked past his driveway. They stopped, their eyes landing on the sign. One of them whispered something and pointed at the chemical drum near the garage. Within seconds, they turned around and walked away. Keanu smirked. That night, Sandra took the bait. Later that evening, Sandra, the same neighbor from earlier, was out walking her dog. She squinted at the sign on his garage door. She pulled out her phone, started typing. A few minutes later, there it was, a post on the neighborhood Facebook group. For your information, looks like Keanu put some kind of weird chemical coating on his car. Says it causes skin irritation and stains. Not sure how safe that is, just a warning. The comments started flooding in. OMG, and if that stuff leaks into the ground? That doesn't sound legal. Why does he care so much? It's just a car. Maybe he should just move if he doesn't want neighbors touching his stuff. Keanu laughed out loud. They weren't mad that he had lied. They were mad because they finally realized the free ride was over. And if they wanted to put his chemical coating theory to the test, they were more than welcome to try. It causes skin irritation and stains. I'm not sure how safe that is, just a warning. The comments poured in under Sandra's Facebook post. OMG, and if that stuff leaks into the ground, that doesn't sound legal. Why does he care so much? It's just a car. Maybe he should just move if he doesn't want neighbors touching his stuff. Keanu laughed out loud. They weren't mad because he had lied. They weren't even mad because they got caught. They were mad because they had finally realized their free ride was over. And if they wanted to put his dangerous chemical coating theory to the test, they were more than welcome to try. For the first time in months, Keanu finally felt at peace. No more random oil stains, no more fingerprints on the glass, no more messed up radio stations, no more entitled freeloaders treating his Mustang like a community car. His plan had worked, or at least he thought so. Then came the knock. It was Thursday night when he heard it, a sharp, impatient knock at his front door. Keanu sighed. Here we go. He put down his drink and walked to the door, glancing through the peephole. Sandra, arms crossed, angry. He debated ignoring it but decided he was in the mood for some entertainment. Keanu opened the door, keeping his face calm. Yes? Sandra wasted no time. We need to talk. Keanu raised an eyebrow. We have? She scoffed. Look, I don't know what your problem is, but people are saying you put some kind of dangerous chemical on your car. Keanu blinked, then smirked. I did. His voice was calm, casual, and just amused enough to make her even more irritated. Sandra clenched her jaw. You can't do that. What if a child touches the door handle? Keanu crossed his arms. A child who has wandered into my garage. Sandra hesitated. It's not about that. It's exactly about that, Keanu retorted. I told people to stay away. They didn't listen. So I took precautions. Sandra scoffed. You're ridiculous. You don't even have kids. That car just sits there wasting away. Keanu shook his head. So because I don't have kids, that means my car is for public use? Sandra rolled her eyes. Come on, don't act like... Keanu cut her off. Don't you see, Sandra? You and the rest of these people have nerve. You don't pay my insurance. You don't clean my car, but you expect to just help yourselves. Sandra's face turned red. Well, if you weren't so mean, maybe people would like you. Keanu let out a deep, genuine laugh. That's your problem, Sandra. You think being liked means letting people walk all over you. Sandra opened her mouth, closed it, then shook her head in frustration. You know what? Forget it. She turned on her heel, storming back down the driveway. Keanu followed, grinning. Enjoy using your own car this summer. She stiffened but kept walking. Keanu closed the door behind him, still smiling. They were mad. But more importantly, they finally got the point. Just to be safe. He doubled down. The next morning, Keanu added a finishing touch. A motion-activated security alarm. Silent, but designed to send instant notifications to his phone if anyone even came near his Mustang. If someone tried to sneak in again, they'd get a very loud wake-up call. And the best part? He didn't even have to use it, because no one tried again. The days of freeloading were over. Boundaries are only respected when you enforce them. After months of frustration, Keanu finally had his peace back. The Mustang was his again. The garage was quiet. The entitlement? Gone. And the best part? He never even had to call the police. Because that was never the point. He didn't want to cause a fuss. He didn't want drama. He didn't want enemies. He just wanted what was his to be respected. But here's the thing. Some people don't respect boundaries until they're forced to. Keanu had tried being nice. He had given warnings. He had even asked politely. And he had been ignored every single time. But the moment he flipped the script, they backed off. Because at the end of the day, people will take as much as they are allowed to. It doesn't matter if it's your time, your space, your energy, or even your damn car. If you don't set boundaries, someone is going to walk all over you. So, was Keanu mean for what he did? Maybe. But was he wrong, even a little bit? And have you ever had to stand your ground when someone tried to take advantage of you? Or better yet, how would you have handled it? Leave a comment below and let's talk about it. And if you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. Thanks for following us. And remember, respect is earned, not given.